Hello, welcome to Coffee Break with Microchip Technology. Coffee Break is our ongoing forum in which we discuss new and evolving technology, all in about the amount of time it takes to drink a cup of coffee. Welcome back. This is our last episode of the year, and we sort of call it Cocoa Break just for something slightly different. We're going to do things a little bit different today. First, you might notice that we've got some changes to our set. We've got a fireplace here because although I can't really say it's cold, I can say it's about as cold as it gets in Arizona. So not really by a lot of people's standards would it be cold, but there was some frost on the ground. So we got this nice fireplace, we got some lights, and that'll bring us into our special episode, which today we are calling the Internet of Gifts. So I'm your host, Eric Glatfelter, and joining me today is Mike Ballard. Mike, welcome to Coffee Break.
Thanks for having me, Eric.
All right, so we wanted to do something a little bit fun, so we've got a nice little dramatization of something that'll be coming up in a minute. But our topic is the Internet of Gifts, and so it's obviously a little play off the Internet of Things. And we wanted to think through all of the technology, hardware and software that is involved in the process of gift giving. We are entering the time of year where there are lots of traditions around the world that involve gift giving. So let's just think through what goes on there. So as an example, we want to buy a present for our friend Nick, who's an engineer here at Microchip. What does every engineer want as a gift? A development board. Sure, why not? Who doesn't want a development board? So Nick was watching our last episode, and there's a cool little development board on the touch controller that we talked about. So we're going to buy that for Nick and see how that gets fulfilled. So I've got a variety of devices here, and we'll come back to that later. But we're going to simulate ordering a development board for Nick on Microchip Direct. So we'll process that order, and then let's see what happens behind the scenes. All right, so the order's been placed, it's been delivered to the doorway, and we'll ask Nick to go pick that up. So while Nick is retrieving the package, let's say hello to Aaliyah Fahout in the booth. Aaliyah, welcome back, and can you share the logistics of today's episode with our audience?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Eric. Well, thank you everyone for joining our Cocoa Break this morning. We are currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and you can participate in today's episode by leaving your questions and comments in the chat or email us at livestream@microchip.com after the broadcast. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to our social media platforms. Thank you. Back to you, Eric.
All right, there's Nick. He's recovering his package from the Grinch. Make sure he gets it. So now he's got his development board, and he's got hours of entertainment and fun working with his development board. So, okay, obviously we had a little bit of fun with that here at the Microchip headquarters. But we did want to talk about all the things that happened to enable just that simple gift and all that. So I want to come back to these. So I'm sitting here with a couple of appliances, electronic appliances that everybody watching has. I've got my laptop, I've got my tablet, I've got my phone. Now we could go to a store and buy something, but we don't want to do that. We want to sit here in the comfort of the studio by our fireplace and order something online. So that's what we did, and all of these appliances have a vast amount of technology in them. They all have intelligence, computing intelligence. They all have connectivity. It's probably both wired and wireless. and probably with each one of those, multiple protocols for wired and wireless technology. They have power management devices. Some of them have human-machine interface devices, et cetera. And they all have some level of security in them as well. So let's talk a little bit more about that. Security has been around for a long time, but in today's connected world, it's becoming ever more important that people pay attention to security and authentication. So can you just talk through what are some of the latest developments, and what does a design engineer need to be thinking about when they're considering security and authentication in their devices?
Certainly, Eric. A lot of the technologies that you've mentioned here with the tablet and the smartphone incorporate a number of mutual authentication and cryptography on the data side of things to ensure that the data is being sent to the proper place and that the data is secure. And these technologies are also drifting into the embedded space, where the Internet of Things and Internet of Things type devices are also going to be connected to the Internet and connected to cloud servers.
Sure.
So a lot of those same technologies you see in those high-end devices are also trickling into the consumer devices that you use at home as well.
Sure. So more proliferation out into all the different devices that we all have in our homes and offices.
That's right.
Okay. So we've placed an order. Now we get to the fulfillment piece. So again, we had a little dramatization, fairly small scale of what might happen here in the building. But if we think about a huge fulfillment warehouse and all the technology that's going on there, so it may start with a person with their tracking device, their tablet. They're going to get their notifications. They're going to get information about where something might be in the warehouse. They're going to track their activity, check it off that it's been picked and delivered. There also might be automated systems. There might be robotic systems that are moving around the warehouse themselves. So there's mobility and tracking. They may have a robotic arm that picks and places something. There's asset tracking involved, not to mention all the electronics used in just managing the facility. So again, security, tracking, cameras, heating and cooling, the information passing around, wireless connectivity, all sorts of things in that building. Let's focus on one area though, and again, what's kind of the latest. And if we think about particularly robotics and all of that is used in a warehouse, there's a lot of advancements and a lot of things trending right now with AI and machine learning. So can you talk through some of those latest issues? And again, what does a design engineer need to be thinking about in that space?
Absolutely. Artificial intelligence and machine learning is starting to play a more critical role in our lives every day, not just when ordering things online, but also into the devices that we're seeing every day. Being able to utilize those technologies on a high-level scale in the cloud is how it's being launched today, because there's a lot of processing power necessary to implement that software routines. However, some of that artificial intelligence machine learning is trickling down into the embedded space, into standard microcontrollers, FPGAs, MPUs, those types of things. And that technology now is opening the door for companies to implement those artificial intelligence machine learning technologies that they couldn't do before. So we're going to see a lot of that in the coming years, seeing some of those things trickle into those smaller devices.
Right, and speaking of smaller devices, we had a coffee break episode just this season where we were talking about deploying machine learning capabilities in an 8-bit microcontroller. So we're seeing it for a lower and lower scale, making it available for more and more devices. All right, so we've talked through sort of that middle piece, the fulfillment. Now, when a gift might be delivered, there's a lot more technology there than might meet the eye at first too. So again, you may have a delivery person that's got yet another tablet, and they're getting information that's being updated real time about their location, what their next delivery is. They're tracking that package, they're checking off that it's been delivered. They may take a picture of it right there on your doorstep, so you get an email that says it's been delivered. At the location, you may have a camera, right? So now we're into sensing, now we're into image sensing, possibly motion sensing to turn that camera on. You may have a smart doorbell, so that when that delivery person rings that doorbell, they get a picture taken of them, and you get a picture on your phone that shows somebody was there dropping off the package. You can see the package, you can see the delivery person, and you know your development board is on the porch, and you want to rush home and get right to work with that. So, so there again, there's a lot of processing that's happening right at that edge. And again, can you maybe just share some of the latest in the edge computing, or again, maybe some of the security issues around that?
Certainly, you know, with AI and machine learning, the ability to do things such as facial recognition real time
Sure.
at the edge is very important. You know, we see a lot of it happening today in smartphones and other areas. There are ways of doing it using cloud computing. However, there is latency involved and other time issues associated with it. So many companies are looking to put more processing power at the edge, at the nodes themselves, in order to implement these new artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies.
Cool. Great. Well, thanks, Mike. There's obviously a lot going on there, and again, this was just kind of a light look at all the different technologies that might be involved in giving gifts from end to end. But there's certainly a lot of information to absorb, and we do have a lot queued up. If our viewers are interested, they can learn more at microchip.com/IoT. So we have information there about the portfolio of products that support the smart devices, connected and secure devices, information about our cloud partners and hooking up with them, development boards, and a little shout out to Microchip University, where there are excellent informational courses to bring you up to speed on some of these issues. And finally, additional resources where you can contact our design partners or Microchip directly. So there's a lot to absorb there, but it's just a fascinating world, and it continues to evolve year after year, all kinds of new technologies being implemented by design engineers all around the world. So great stuff. Mike, again, thanks for sharing some of your knowledge on that. At this point, let's transition back to Aaliyah and see if there are any questions today.
We do, Eric. We have a few questions that we received via email. The first one is, how do I get started with connecting to the cloud?
Well, that's a great question, and that's really where a lot of embedded engineers need to start, is how do I take my embedded design or just do some initial development from the embedded space up to the cloud. And we have a number of devices and development boards on our website to be able to purchase that can help those design engineers connect to the cloud, as well as and through some of the major cloud providers such as AWS as well as Microsoft Azure.
Okay.
Great, thank you, Mike. The second question we have is, should I be concerned about connecting my products to the cloud?
Certainly, there's a number of companies out there that are concerned about taking their traditional embedded design and connecting it up to the cloud, because there is a risk for data to be hacked, for things to be man in the middle, third-party engagements there.
Yep.
And the technology and the security needed for these applications is definitely a moving target, and something that we as Microchip take very seriously. You know, that the security technologies that were around 5 years ago are certainly outdated as compared
Sure.
to some of those technologies today. So it's very important to be partnered with a company that is investing into those security technologies that are not only there for today, but for the future as well.
Great. And what are some example applications where edge computing can improve latency?
One of those that we see coming up quite often is what I mentioned earlier, which is facial recognition. We see that happening more and more, not only just for consumer devices, but also for the industrial markets, being able to give access to certain people in the companies and not others. Also being able to identify people as they approach the home, to be able to unlock doors and provide security access. So we're seeing some of those high-end technologies trickle into more and more consumer and industrial applications.
Yep.
Thank you, Mike. Those are all the questions I have for you today. And if you have any additional questions or comments, you can email us at livestream@microchip.com. And don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to our social media platforms. Thanks again, Mike, for answering our viewers' questions. Back to you, Eric.
All right, thanks, Aaliyah. Thanks again, Mike, for joining us today. And most of all, thank you to our audience for taking some time out of your day to watch Coffee Break. For more information, please visit microchip.com/coffeebreak. There you can peruse our library of previously recorded sessions and During 2023, we'll be posting information about our upcoming episodes. You can sign up for notifications. You can add events directly to your calendar so that you don't miss them if you've got a favorite in the upcoming schedule. Again, thank you for your time. Have a great rest of the year and a great beginning to next year. See you next time.